Okay, so I am actually so excited to talk about this movie because it's hitting different now, and I just want to share my thoughts. And this isn't going to be the most perfect video or the most deepest analysis of Goodwill Hunting, but this is for sure something I want to share and make, and possibly after some time, maybe in like a couple months, a couple weeks, I can attempt to make a video like this again, especially with how much more I will learn. But as of right now, the movie Goodwill Hunting, this is my second time watching the movie. I barely, if I'm being honest, I barely remember watching it the first time. There's only certain scenes that I remember. But rewatching the movie, like I forgot how it ended, and I only remembered the two most famous scenes, which is like the "I don't love you" scene, and the "It's not your fault." And I literally cried in both of those scenes, and I'm not ashamed to say that, but they just hit really hard watching it again and really understanding the deeper meaning of that movie. So I really don't know where to start. I have my phone, I have a journal with stuff written down. Um, yeah, it's just a lot. So I think the best plan of action is to just jump in and go from there. So, um, I did write this thing that I wanted to share, which is that fear leads to anger, anger leads to hate, and hate leads to suffering. So, anyways, the whole idea of the movie, it like to me, because I was able to relate to the attachment that you can have with people and the different relationships you have with people, a therapist, a lover, your friends, your childhood friends, or friends that you've known for a long time, or, a professor that you're working with, or even work itself, like relationships all around you. They're all so different, but they all serve a purpose and they all have a meaning. So the first 30 minutes of the movie was like kind of like a build up, and it kind of just represents how Will's life is just nothing significant or nothing crazy happens. It's just steady. And we can get into that in the future of this video, but if you're in constant fear, it's always going to feel steady, and you need to get outside of your comfort zone to make progress or make a sudden change and things like that. So, I was thinking to read some lines or just things that really got my attention and then go from there. So, for example, you're afraid that I won't love you back. You know what? I'm afraid too. I want to give it a shot. At least I'm honest with you. And, that was very hitting because we tend to get afraid when things are unusual and scary, and you can feel real loss when you love something better than yourself, because losing it, it's like, wow, you're putting something over you and you lose that, and it really hurts. And I guess what I was trying to get at is that the imperfections that we see in ourselves, we call them imperfections, but they are what make us us. Like, these are unique characteristics between each person that defines who you are. And sure, you may think that they're bad, but it's just the way we are, and some people value it, some people don't think much of it. But that's, being your natural authentic self, and people liking you for being your authentic self. That's what that's how you build real connections, and they can be meaningful, and they're not just like, a coworker, or I don't know, just someone that you need something from. So another random thing I guess I could say is seeing like Boston itself, especially like when they were at the park. Like, I want to go to that park and just sit there. And I know the movie's like very TikTokified, which is not even a word, but it's gotten very popular. over TikTok and social media, and people like to overhype the movie, but I genuinely am relating to the movie right now. And there are things in the movie, which I'll get to, that hit. And, to see this, I guess, representation of someone that might be going through a similar situation, I guess, internally and not as the plot of the movie, but, internally as a person, struggling with relationships and pushing them away and whatnot. So, it's really hitting, and I guess it's helped me come to terms with some thoughts. You know, I love Robin Williams. He's like one of my favorite actors, probably my only favorite actors that I could remember because I'm really bad with names. But Matt Damon really played that role well. I think his name is Ben Affleck, which is like his best friend in the movie. He didn't play a big role until the end of the movie, where he was telling him like, if you don't take this lottery ticket that you have and this good opportunity, I'm gonna kill you. Which he wasn't meaning like literally, but he wants him to take that opportunity because it's the best thing for him, and he knows that. And that's, I guess, kind of in relationship, or not in relationship, but in relation to a soulmate. And you know what he was showing was loyalty to him, past just an actual friendship. But a soulmate is someone who challenges you, and that's what Robin Williams was saying in one of his lines. And when you are challenged by a person, it opens up things for you. It's just a lot deeper, and I feel like I could go on and on about it, but it's kind of for you to interpret yourself. And it's funny because Mac Miller has a song called Soulmate, and it samples a little bit of the movie in the beginning of the song. So if you haven't heard that song, you should listen to it. But something else that Robin Williams said is, you'll always be scared if you constantly look at every negative 10 miles down the road, which is so true. And I can tell you from personal experience, it's not good, because you're just always going to have self doubt, and you're never going to be able to conquer your fear and accomplish something that you want to do. So, and near the end of the film, when Robin Williams, or Sean, I guess I should say his name, Sean, was arguing with his old college roommate who was the math professor, he is saying, why doesn't he trust anyone? Because the first thing that happened to him, he was abandoned by the people who were supposed to love him the most. And I, there's only so much I can say with that, because I too have felt that in a way, and it's a lot deeper. So I don't want to get too personal, but he would basically throughout the movie kind of push people away before they have a chance to leave. And slowly over time, he got over that fear. And, at the end of the movie, he dropped everything for Skylar, which is crazy, but, and there's fear in doing that, but he just went for it because he finally knew what he wanted. And, you know, that scene, it's not your fault. That genuinely was so hitting, and it just, I see it, and I was able to relate to it so deeply, because although it wasn't his fault, although it wasn't my fault, I guess you could say, um these patterns have came from, or these patterns of like not loving myself, and not, I guess, being proud of how far I've came, and almost hating myself, that came from my childhood. And it's not because I'm a bad person. um in the movie, it shows that I can be loved and accepted for who I really am. And that's okay to be who I want to be and be my authentic self, because there will be people that will love me. There is going to be at least one person that's going to love me for who I am. And, it just encourages me to believe in myself. And there's a lot of things that Will did in the movie. And I guess, yeah, I wrote down some things that I guess I can read out, where he would push people away when they get too close, fear that if people, mostly Skylar and Sean, that if they really knew him, they'd just leave and give up on him. And he would use like his intellect and his intelligence to keep emotional distance from people, and then even sabotage relationships when they become meaningful. And you can definitely see that with Skylar, where he was just too scared to do anything, and he had this whole idea that she was perfect and that she didn't want to, or that he didn't want to see her again. But that's not how that works. You can't just have a perfect image of someone, because no one's perfect. And he always just fundamentally believed that he was unworthy of love. And every single one of these points that I just said that he did throughout the movie, I I feel that, and I understand the message that was trying to be made with the movie. And it's just so beautiful that you're able to show all these different concepts and ideas in just a 1.5 hour film. So, or 2 hour film, whatever. So, it's a lot, and there's a lot of things that hit me, like Will's fear of vulnerability, the way that he sabotaged his relationship with Skylar of going to California, and how therapy actually, I don't want to say break Will down, but it opened him up. And at the end of the movie, he chose love over fear, which is so so powerful. And it's I guess the movie kind of transitioned from I'd rather hurt people than risk being hurt to I'm going to choose vulnerability and love. There's, for me, there's fear of being truly seen. And it got scary when love got too real with people for me. And I always just thought that's the way it's going to be, and that I'm fundamentally damaged, and that I can't fix that, and that I can't change that. But I I can't live like that forever. It's really hurt me over the years, and I want to choose vulnerability, because I'm realizing that's the person that I really am, and I want to do that. So despite the risks of being who I truly want to be, I I have to keep pushing in that direction, because I'm getting pushed in another direction where I don't want to be, where if I get pushed too hard, it'll ruin me. And just what I'm trying to say is that I won't get where I want to be. So I need to truly be me. And it's inspiring to see that, because there are choices that I have to make that will cost a lot, mentally, maybe physically, emotionally, but they're for the greater good. And I have built a way to only protect myself in ways that I knew as a child, and it's grown into this thing where I push away, and I'm trying to overcome this fear and this habit of pushing away when all I really wanted to do was to pull in. I just didn't know how, and it'd be too much for me where I'd kind of just give up in a way. And healing is possible, and I've been learning that recently, and I'm learning to be more authentic than adaptive, and I can't please or impress everyone. So I know my thoughts were all over the place, and part of me was just very excited to be talking about this, but you know, it is difficult to process all these things. So, you know, I don't know how this is gonna turn out, but I'm very happy I just got to go out there and get my thoughts out and just ramble on. And I am serious. This is something I want to come back to and revisit and I guess speak again about, because this is something that I can relate to my core. And this change that I'm striving to make isn't a temporary change. This is a change for the rest of my life. It's going to affect all the relationships that I have and who I'm with, who I'm around. And it's scary looking into the future, but I have to do it. So yeah, definitely going to revisit this. So if you're still watching, I appreciate it so much. If you have any thoughts or want to comment anything, definitely please do, and I'll be happy to talk about anything that I said in the video or anything you want to mention or add. It's not your fault. It's not my fault. It's not your fault. We're human, and we're on this earth for a limited amount of time. So despite everything that has happened in the past, despite everything that's going to happen in the future, what we have now is the present, and I love my life. I love me. I love myself. And I love I. But seriously, I hope to anyone that is watching this, it speaks to you in some way, or you learned something, or you gained something from this, because this is the point. This is the reason I'm making this. So again, thank you for watching. If you still are, remember that you are loved, and yeah, I'll see you tomorrow.